Hello there, you're welcome to the channel. In this video, we'll be talking about um, transfers. Apparently, um, Florian Wirtz supposedly confirmed to Liverpool. Obviously, not from any official source, but Sky Sports re- reported that Liverpool had upped their bid about 113, 114 million pounds, and to to get the deal done, but that's not yet been done. So let's see how it happens. But then they said personal terms have been agreed between Liverpool and um, Florian Wirtz, and so apparently he'll be going for £340,000 a week. Now, still waiting for confirmation from the likes of your um, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano. So let's see if they indeed confirm that. But £340,000 a week, that is crazy money. That is seriously crazy money. But some people are saying that probably put him on the same level with your Mohamed Salah and your Van Dijks. So I'm not quite sure. But if that what it turns out to be that indeed, you know, if it turns out that indeed he will be paid £340,000 a week. That is just super crazy. But for me, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, why should Liverpool pay him £240,000? That's mad. That's crazy. Shouldn't be doing that. You're spoiling the market. No, for me, if as a football club you think a player is worth a particular amount, then I think you should go ahead and pay the player the amount. You should go ahead and pay the player the amount. I'm not one of those. Some Chelsea fans will come up to say, oh, we have this wage structure. We don't pay people more than £3, £3.50 an hour. So that makes us the righteous club. We don't pay players that low, that much. That doesn't make sense. For me, if you pay a player £100 a week and that player doesn't help you win, what's the point? It's not financially wise. You're not being prudent. It's only prudent if you pay a player £5 a week and that player actually delivers for you. And you can say, you can see this player you're paying £340,000 a week. He's helping you win games and win titles. This player that we pay £5 a week, he's also helping us win games and win titles. So that's the most important thing. So if Liverpool are willing to pay this for Florian Wirtz, fair play to them. At least that shows they are willing to do everything it takes to get the player in the building. And that's fine by me. Now, the only thing that I have an issue with is, first off, with Liverpool in general, because Liverpool usually are sort of made to look like this, like a charity, like UNICEF, UNESCO. We don't spend money, we don't interrupt. Chelsea they're buying the league. Manchester United buys the league. Man City, are owned by a state, so they buy the league. We just keep things on the straight and narrow. No, if you're going to pay £140 million to sign a player from Bayer Leverkusen and pay the player £340,000 a week, then welcome to our world. Welcome, Liverpool. You are in that world where you're also buying the league, if that's how you want to say it. Now, of course, Liverpool isn't buying the league, and of course, Chelsea did not buy the league. You pay players to do a job, and they got on the pitch and they did a job for you. So, and Liverpool, I think they're doing it the right way. We've won the league title, go again, reinforce the team, make the team better. So you go into the league stronger than before. Because right now, Liverpool, they have targets on their back. Chelsea wants a piece of them. Liverpool, Man City would want a piece of them. Arsenal want a piece of them. Everybody in the league right now would want to get a piece of Liverpool. Everyone wants to topple Liverpool. So for me, never been a Liverpool fan, but they're doing it the right way, exactly the right way. Reinforce your team, make your team better, win at the top. That's how you remain at the top, by getting the best players possible that you can get. So if they're getting Florian Wirtz and they're willing to pay that amount as to weekly wages, then that's fine by me. That's fine by me. And Chelsea, we keep going about this wage structure business. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You can't tie everybody in the club to a particular wage. For instance, in Liverpool now, I'm not sure that everybody earns £340,000. I'm not sure that every player earns £300,000. I'm sure there's some players that earn 120, some could be on 80, some could be on, 130. So it just reflects how they contribute to winning and the value they add to the club. So Liverpool are doing it the right way, but the self-righteousness of Liverpool has to end, because each time Man City spends, Liverpool fans, they come up with this, and the media tries to package Liverpool like this club that doesn't spend. They hire they hire their staff from Indeed.com, or they go to Fiverr and get freelance players and pay them £50 per hour. No, you actually spend money to get players. So embrace it, Liverpool. You spend money. And if you're a Liverpool fan and you ever said Chelsea bought the league, then you also are buying the league. If you ever said Man City are buying the league, you also are buying the league. If you ever said Manchester United bought league titles, then you're now buying the league, because you're spending huge money. In fact, you spent huge money on Nunes, though he's not been that good, but you bought the league as well. So the same thing applies. Yeah, but in my personal opinion, if you're spending money to get players to help you win titles, win Premier League titles, Champions League titles, it doesn't mean you're buying the league. You're just doing the right thing that pushes you towards winning. That's the one side. Now, the second side, where I have issues, not with the deal per se, just not with the deal to sign Florian Wirtz. Even if they agree £500,000 a week, that wouldn't be my problem, because even £100,000 a week is mad money for me. So where I have the problem is, you see how no one is talking about, Florian Wirtz, he has to come to Premier League and prove himself first before he earns £200,000 a week. No one has said that. No one has said he's greedy. Everyone focuses on his ability. Either people who are saying he's a good enough player, or those who are saying he's not a good enough player. But everyone is focused in on his ability. No one is saying, wow, how can you pay £114 million a week for a player? How dare you? How can you? It's too much. Nobody's saying it. Nobody's saying it. And nobody really should. But where it really upsets me is when it happened to a Nigerian player, Victor Osimhen. I have to point it out because he's the biggest player Nigeria has got. One league title, the buyout clause was there, but the whole PR was just mad. How dare he £100 million a week, £100 million release clause for Victor Osimhen? How can he? Who does he think he is? What? £10 million a pound a year salary. How dare he? £10 million a year. That's crazy, greedy. But Florian Wirtz now, no narrative about him being greedy. Now, some people who won't get this. This is not an attack on Liverpool. Not to do with Liverpool. For me, it's just the madness of how narratives are spawned. I like being fair. If you're having an issue with players being paid so much money, or transfer fees being so high, be even across the board. If it happens to a German, be even, say it. If it happens to a Nigerian, be even, say it. If it happens to an Indian, be even, say it. But don't pick and choose. Do not pick and choose. Florian Wirtz, I'm sure he will come into Liverpool and help contribute to them winning. So that's good. That's nice to see. From a Liverpool perspective, I'm sure Liverpool fans are happy. And I'm sure they don't even care what people are saying about how high his wages are, how high his salary is. People don't care. And for me, that should be how it is. So far as your club isn't doing anything wrong or criminal, getting the money the right way, paying for the players to come help them win, that's fine. For me, it's just the blatant hypocrisy. It's just the feeling that some people feel like we can start up any sort of narrative and it will hold sway. It will just be taken, it will be believed. Because when I talk of Victor Osimhen, people think it's not an Osimhen thing. It is a Nigerian player thing. It is an African player thing, especially an African player that plays for an African country. You always branded with certain kind of craziness, which doesn't make sense to me. Always branded with sort of craziness. Look at Victor Osimhen. Let me call a player and call him John Thomas. He goes to Lille, takes them to the Champions League, scores 18 plus goals for them in the league. He leaves Lille, he goes to Napoli, wins the league title for Napoli. And then he's done with, and then his highest goal scorer, help them win the Scudetto after 3 decades. Then, how much do you think he'll be valued at that point? Definitely, it will not be 50 million. It will not be 60. It will be slightly higher. And then he leaves there and goes off to Galatasaray, wins the league title there, help them win their domestic cup. He definitely will not be valued at 30, 40 million. And 10 million pounds wouldn't be seen as crazy to earn a year. It wouldn't be seen. So for me, the thing is, it's not so much about a Victor Osimhen thing. It is how players that choose to play for African countries are looked at, and that just gets me upset. When one player, you see a player, like, okay, Liam Delap, he's a Chelsea player. I hope he comes to Chelsea and does well, 100%. Though he's not my first choice, but I'm someone who, even if I rate you, I don't rate you, you come into my club, come and play well, come and score, help the team win league titles, help the team win Champions Leagues, help the team, if you can, win the Carabao and FA Cups. So have no issues with it. But the player who scored 12 goals suddenly is valued at 30 million pounds, 12 goals. So that's it. That's a bit of a rant aside. But if Liverpool are willing to pay 140 million pounds, then big up to them. Big up to them. That's what you should do. Once you win the league title, once you're on top, don't take your foot off the gas. Do not take your foot off the gas. Once you're on top, you keep remaining on top by reinforcing your squad, giving your manager all the tools he needs to win, giving them the best tools to win. And I want to say this to Chelsea fans. You have people who have chosen their niche, which is will back clearly capital, whatever they do, whatever they say, will say is the right thing. That is their own niche, right? If you want to win, you can't have this rigid wage structure. It is never happened. Arsenal used to have this rigid wage structure. We're not going above this. We'll pay within this range. It must be this small. It must be £10 an hour. It must be £3,000. It must be £3,000 a month. It never works. End of the day, when players are ready to win, they will leave your club. When players are ready to win, they will have to leave your club. And you'll be unable to attract those players that are ready to come into your club today and help you start winning today. So as long as, no matter how you want to say it, as long as you hold on to this, it might be £100,000 a week or nothing above that, you would always fall short. Always, guarantee. Take it to the bank, you will fall short. Always. Always. Now, this is not to say pay everybody you sign £400,000 a week. No. Of course, you have to be sensible. You have to be sensible. You have to, okay, this player has won XYZ league titles at XYZ club. He's scored XYZ goals. Maybe he scored 25 goals in 2 seasons, 50 goals, in 2 seasons. So that means he's at a level, let's offer him £200,000 a week. Oh, this player is a nice emerging talent. He scored 5 goals in the league and scored 5 goals in the cup and scored 3 goals in European competition. So he's a fairly decent player. So maybe you give him maybe £50,000 or £60,000 a week. You can't be sensible, but just say we hold on to this wage structure. It must be this small. Then that means you're not ready to compete. That means you're not being competitive in the hiring market for players. That means you're not being competitive. Arsenal used to do it, and till now they've not recovered from it. And one thing people must understand about the Premier League, unlike La Liga, where it's Barcelona and Barca, they can afford to drop off for 1 or 2 years and then come back and steamroll everyone like they never left. But in the Premier League, it's packaged in such a way where once you falter, some other club can get a new ownership like this, and you're out in the dust. So that's about Florian Wirtz. Good on Liverpool. He is a nice, tidy player. Watched him a couple of times. What he did, combining with Florian Wirtz, combining with Victor Boniface, the Nigerian international, was brilliant. So I think he will fit in very well at Liverpool. He'll be able to combine with the likes of your Mo Salah, your Kodiako, and your Luis Diaz, if he stays and doesn't go to Barcelona. So I think that's a fine deal for Liverpool. But now it's on his shoulders if indeed he comes in for £140 million to come in and perform. That's it. So finally, before I go on to talk about the other topics, people talk about, I'll just mention Victor Osimhen and now go. People talk about you have to come and prove yourself here. No, your body of work, what you've done at your club, like Florian Wirtz, he's been sensational for Bayer Leverkusen in the German league. So his body of work is what speaks for him. He will earn what he deserves to earn based on what he's done. And then when it comes to the league, to the Premier League, he will then have to show that what he's done there is not a fluke, but he still has to earn what he's valued, what he's worth. So that's it. And then the other thing I want to talk about is Arsenal. Arsenal apparently going for Kepa and looking at paying that £5 million pound release clause for Kepa, Chelsea goalkeeper. Now, that's just funny. That's funny to me. I don't know, maybe Arsenal are being a bit opportunistic, looking at hopping on Kepa. Probably he's played with Chelsea. He's a Champions League winner, don't forget as well. He's played for Real Madrid. So maybe that's to them or to Arteta, it could be, he has some pedigree. So coming into Arsenal, he would have, he has pedigree. So let's go with him. And then, of course, he's not coming in to be the out-and-out number one. So they can say Raya is there. He comes in to be Raya's backup and some sort of competition for Raya. So fair dues, fair play. So good on him. But it's just a bit funny that Arsenal feel like, for the goalkeepers, who we're going to go for? We're going to go for Kepa. At Chelsea, I'm sure no one really wants Kepa. And for me, I think Kepa is another person that's fallen victim to, poor narrative. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't always fantastic, but the way the media reported around Kepa was just unfair, in my humble opinion. I think he was treated unfairly. I know he had his mad moment with Sarri when Sarri wanted to substitute him and he didn't want to come out. So he's had that moment, but he was also very good for Chelsea in that Europa League run. And some fans just for some reason choose to forget about that. Now, I'm not saying he should come in and be the number one keeper for Chelsea. I'm not even saying he should be a Chelsea goalkeeper or a Chelsea player. I'm happy with him leaving, quite frankly. But for me, just like the way people just talk about him, you would think he hasn't pulled up a finger to save anything at Chelsea. So fair play. If he indeed goes to Arsenal, that's fine. Let's see what he can do there. And it's not even that much, not even that crazy. The release clause, £5 million. Do people still sign players for £5 million this time around? So fair play, to Arsenal and to Kepa. Hopefully he goes there. Can he actually keep Raya on the bench? Well, I don't think so. Let's see how that shakes up. Now, the next thing we'll talk about now, we'll go to talk about Victor Osimhen. Now, Victor Osimhen, there have been several reports about whether he's accepted the move to go to Al Hilal, sorry. But you have a Nigerian transfer insider that said he hasn't agreed to anything with Al Hilal, and he's traveled back to Nigeria to start his vacation properly. So I think that Buchi Laba guy has been fairly accurate. At least he is fairly accurate when it comes to matters pertaining to Victor Osimhen. So he said he's gone on vacation now to Nigeria, and that's fine, relaxing. But there are other reports that have emerged to say Al Hilal are really pushing, to see if they can get him signed and get him to be part of their Club World Cup squad. No, I think that would be a massive coup for them if they're able to get Victor Osimhen. I think that would be a massive coup for them, and he could help them go, pretty far in that in the Club World Cup. So fair play to them. Now, I want to say this about Victor Osimhen. Now, people say you talk about Victor Osimhen too much. If you listen to what I say, you would know this is not just a Victor Osimhen thing. There is a wider narrative, a wider story, a wider picture to look at. Now, we've had some people who've come on to say, "Oh, Victor Osimhen, I don't want him at my club because there's some Nigerian football fans now, fans of Premier League clubs. Oh, I don't want him at my club because of all this attention he brings." But you don't say that about your Palmers. You don't. You don't say that about other players that the English media hypes. You do not say that about them. A player could score 10 goals, an English player could score 10 goals, and then immediately they'll tell you that's the new Harry Kane, and you wouldn't have any issue with that. So for me, it's a bit funny how sort of the narrative always shifts around Victor Osimhen. I don't quite get it. Like, what's the point? What are you trying to achieve? I don't quite get how the narrative shifts. And people want to say he's greedy. So people say, "Oh, before you have to come to Chelsea, you have to reduce your wages to the base level. You have to come to Chelsea to prove yourself before you can earn those wages." That has never been an argument. It's never been a thing. I don't know how people manage to make that a thing. It never has been a thing. It never has been. Because no one told Harry Kane, "Oh, all the goals you scored in the Premier League, we don't quite value it. Yeah, so as you come to Bayern, you must reduce your wages, come to Bayern and prove yourself, then we can give you the wages you think you deserve." No one does that, because in football, before you're signed, you're judged on your body of work. What have you done? How many goals have you scored in your previous club? What have you helped your previous club win? Those sort of things. No one said, "Oh, reduce your wages, come and prove yourself here." No one has done it. So for me, at this point in time, if he decides to go to Saudi Pro League club, that's fine. What can I do? What can I say? Clubs, for whatever reason, don't want to sign him. That's fair play. Do what you want. Now, speaking about Chelsea now, there's Bino Gittins. Apparently, Fabrice Hawkins dropped a report, or at least a tweet on X, saying Chelsea are close to agreeing a deal in personal terms with Bino Gittins, Jamie Bino Gittins, for a 7-year deal, 7-year contract that will last for 7 years, as usual. Long-term contracts at Chelsea. Now, for me, the question is it really, 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 really super needed? He is a young player, amazing talent, has pace, has skill, can go either way. But is he really super needed? Now, is he that much better than your Noni Madueke? Are you sure? Are we sure that Gittins is that much better than Madueke? I'm not quite sure, I think if Madueke is in that Dortmund side, he performs, worst case scenario, at the same level as your Bino Gittins. So I'm not quite sure if Bino Gittins is super needed. But usually with the Chelsea fan base, it's always bring this new player. Has some pace, has some skill. Bring him in. Oh well, that's fine. But one thing I want to say, going into this 2025-2026 season, the excuse of a young squad is out the window. Out the window. I don't want to hear it. I know what other Chelsea fans may think, but I don't want to hear it, because the young squad is by design. The fact that you have so many young players in the squad, in the team, in the squad at Chelsea, is by design. You decided to sign young players. You decided not to use that much experienced players. You decided not to target super experienced players. You decided that we'll keep signing young players. So it's by design. You can't no longer hide away from it. You cannot hide away from it. That means that's what you've chosen to do. If we're having a race and I choose to come with a bicycle and you choose to come with a Ferrari, I cannot say, "Oh, I have a bicycle, you have a Ferrari, it's unfair." No, I chose to get the bike. Now, if it's something where I'm just riding my bike, you're driving your car, we meet each other on the road and say, "Let's have a race." And you outrace me, of course, with your Ferrari and win the race, I can then say, "Oh, you won because I rode a bike." Now, the next time we're about to race, you say, "Oh, I will come with my Ferrari out there for the race," and I choose to come with my bike, with my bicycle, if you win that race, I can say, oh, he was driving a Ferrari, I'm not driving a bicycle, because it would have been me that have chosen to come with a bicycle. It's the same thing. You're choosing to go with 15-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds. Then, if that's what you're choosing to go with, then there's a Chelsea like to spray money like Owami Party. Arsenal like to negotiate with themselves, and Liverpool is ruthlessly effective and don't waste time. Yeah, that's the weird thing about Chelsea is this. When it comes to signing certain players, oh, we have this thing, we don't want to spend that much money. And then you spend 70 million euros on a 20-year-old who hasn't really proven that much. Oh, 70 million euros we are going to spend on this player. And then when it comes to signing an experienced player that can help you win now, you give all the excuses, oh, we structure, this and the other. So that's what thanks for your comment. Garth says, how you know deal is done if nothing has been confirmed. Of course, I'm responding to reports. I'm not saying it's done, sealed. If you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not saying it's done, sealed, sealed in blood. Here we go. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if it turns out to be true, really confirmed, because those are the reports now, that Liverpool have upped their bid to £140 million, and there are reports coming up everywhere that they're looking to pay Florian Wirtz £240,000 a week. Now, that's what I'm responding to. If that is all true, then number one, I don't have an issue with that. I do not have an issue with that at all. Because when you're at the top, you have to spend your money to be at the top. You have to maintain that level, because everyone wants your food. Everyone wants your dinner. So you have to do all you can to protect your dinner, do all you can to make sure you are at the level, you remain the number one person, to remain the number one club, to win the league title again. You don't want to win the league title and fade away. So, number one, I don't have an issue with that, with Liverpool spending however much they want to spend on players. Now, the second thing that I said about that Liverpool thing was this. Liverpool is usually packaged as this club, this charity institution, this UNESCO, UNICEF type thing. We don't buy the league. We go by the rules. Or Chelsea buys the league. Man City, buys the league. Manchester United buys the league. They spend so much money. Liverpool, if you're willing to spend all that money, then come on, welcome to the club. Own it, own it, own it. That yes, you're buying the league. Own it as well. But if you're going to say we are not buying the league, then you shouldn't say other clubs buy the league when they spend a lot of money on players. It's been this self-righteousness of Liverpool fans that, oh, we don't buy the league, oh, Chelsea buys the league because they spend money on players. So own it. That's all I'm saying. I don't have an issue with that. I've said it about Mbeumo. People were trying to criticize Manchester United spending 60 million on Mbeumo and all that. I don't have an issue. If that player can help you, finish as high as possible on the league table, fair play. Absolutely fair play. Fair play to Liverpool. You won the league title last year, even if it wasn't that competitive, but you won the league title nonetheless. And you're going again, you're investing, you've got Jeremy Frimpong at right back, brilliant for you. You're going in, you're getting Florian Wirtz in the building, good for you. Get the best players you can get that can help you remain at the top for as long as you can. I have no issues with that whatsoever. I have no issues with that. Now I talk about Chelsea, my football club. The problem I have with Chelsea is this. They've sold, Clear Lake, Blue Co. have sold this narrative to a lot of Chelsea fans. Oh, we are keeping a particular way structure. With this structure, we are going to stay in. Now, that is all lovely to hear. Oh, we're paying people £5 an hour. We're paying Cole Palmer £10 an hour. And that's all fine. That's all lovely to hear. But does that help you win? And that sort of wage structure thing never really works because you cannot get those top players that can help you win now to be in your team. It just can't happen. And then the players that you've been paying, hourly wages, £10 an hour, £20 an hour. Of course, obviously, I'm exaggerating this, but still, those players you've been paying those low salaries a week. When it comes to the point where they need to win, they're going to leave your club. Now, you may say, oh, that tied to 6-year contracts, the tied to 7-year contracts. What that only means is, if they become good enough, a Real Madrid will come in and pay out 150 million to sign a Cole Palmer. A Bayern Munich will come up, and spend maybe 80 million to sign Bino Gittins, for instance, if he signed. And what would happen? That means as a club, you haven't won anything, but the clearly and blue-collar people will have lots of money to give to their shareholders. So you haven't won anything. So at the end of the day, this wage structure thing doesn't help you, the fans, so much. And I've also said is that you can and should be sensible in terms of you don't pay everybody £500,000 a week. You look at how they can contribute to the team and you pay them in that way. You have to be sensible. Now, when you talk about paying top-level players what they're worth, people give you the excuse of Manchester United. They tell you, oh, Højlund, he was earning so much. That was a bad deal by Manchester United. It was a bad deal. Bad deal. The player had only scored 9 goals. 9 goals. But for some reason, Manchester United saw him and said, oh, yeah, you know what? You're worth 75 million euros in transfer fee. So you can't use that as a model. It's just like saying buying a Ferrari is a bad idea, judging it based off of someone who doesn't know how to drive, who doesn't even have his license. Say, oh, you see, Ferraris are not reliable. But you have not been, that person doesn't know how to drive, that person doesn't even have a license, and then using that as your basis of judging, it doesn't make sense. So, because that's what people have been saying. And that's aside. And then the next thing I said was about the narrative around certain players. Now, back to Bino Gittins. Is this someone that Chelsea really needs? Like, is he that player that takes Chelsea to the next level? I don't think so. He is another young player with pace, skill, high ceiling, potential. So what does this mean for Chelsea? You're signing a young, 20-year-old or thereabout to come into the club and be that right winger. A right winger, left winger, sorry. And then you sign a very young player, still very raw, in Liam Delap. Still very young, still very raw. You sign him in. What does that mean? That means you're writing off this season again. That's what people don't get. That means you're writing off this season again. You're writing off the season before it even starts. That means you're going into the season saying, we're not really ready to push for the title again. 3 or 4 years in, we're not really to push for a title. And the excuses will come up during the Premier League. Oh, Liam Delap is so young, he's so raw, he needs time to come good. The same thing will be said for Bino Gittins if he's indeed signed. He's so young, he's so raw, he will come good. That means you're writing off the season again. And for me, I've said this, I'm not going to take that excuse. That excuse is not for me. Other Chelsea fans, if you want to take that excuse next season, that's fine. Brilliant. That's fine for you. Because for me, it's been the decision of this ownership to buy young players. If that's your decision, fine. Fine. If that's the decision you want to make, you keep buying 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds with zero experience, zero title winning and competing experience, that's fine. That's okay. But if they don't perform, if they don't win league titles, win cups, win the Champions League, then you can't use their age as an excuse anymore because you chose to sign young players upon young players upon young players. Each time the window opens, young players. And for me, it almost feels like Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley, they're playing FIFA. when you play in FIFA, sometimes you see this winger 80, 90, 89 pace, 95 pace. It's like that's what they do. This player, he has space, yeah? Oh, get him in. He has space here, get him in. How about the quality to help you win? Look at who you're competing against. Sadly, it's like Chelsea has become Arsenal. Not the Arsenal now. Arsenal for like 15, 20 years ago. You remember, if you're an Arsenal fan, I'm sure you remember when Arsenal and Arsene Wenger and the Arsenal board, we used to sell you this stuff of young players from the academy. We use 18-year-olds. We just play, Penner from the academy is so wonderful. Bentley from the academy is so wonderful. Chelsea signed an experienced player. They're buying the league. And a lot of Arsenal fans gobbled up that young player saying, academy, till now they've not still won the league. And so it's the same thing. Like some Chelsea fans are just willing to gobble up this thing. This 19-year-old, pace, bring. This 20-year-old, bring. If Madueke goes to Dortmund, are you sure he doesn't play as well as, or if not better, than Bino Gittins? Because Bino Gittins strives from the ball coming quick and fast into his feet, and then he goes. But the way Maresca plays, slow build up, are you sure Bino Gittins comes here and drives? Given the fact that he's yet another young kid. Now, this has not been confirmed, but Travis Hawkins, that's fairly reliable, has said it, that Chelsea are close to agreeing personal terms with him. And from the looks of things, maybe they're going to pay another 70 million euros, which would then mean that it makes rubbish of their wage structure. Because if you sign a player and you pay him, I don't know, £80,000 a week, and then you buy him for 75 million, and then you do the same thing for two more players, that makes your wage structure argument seem a bit silly. It seems a bit silly. Now, we're moving on to another Chelsea target, and that is Hugo Ekitike. Now, according to reports, it's almost like Chelsea are a bit hesitant to meet the 84 million pound valuation of Frankfurt. They're a bit hesitant. Of course, they should be a bit hesitant. And then say Chelsea value around 60 million pounds. Now, well, that's kind of, I say, fair or okay. Don't worry, I won't mention Victor Osimhen again. Not now, but later on. Not promising. So there's a bit of that sort of hesitancy. I get it. For me, I've said it before. Hugo Ekitike, nice player, got pace, got skill, technique, silky to watch. Absolutely silky to watch. But the problem I have with Hugo Ekitike is this. He's not the profile that Chelsea needs. Liam Delap is raw, but he is the profile that Chelsea needs because he's physical, he can bash into defenders, although there's still question marks around him, but he's more of a profile that Chelsea needs as opposed to, as opposed to Hugo Ekitike. Hugo Ekitike, for me, is like a João Felix in this regard. He will be a nice, tidy bow on a good transfer window. If you get in a top level striker in the building, i.e. Victor Osimhen, i.e. Victor Gyökeres, and you get in a top goalkeeper in, i.e. Mike Mignon, then boom, lovely. You can then go and sign this 19-year-old super wonder kid from Brazil, this 21-year-old wonder kid from Spain, because you've taken care of business. That's my issue with this whole strategy. Take care of business, take care of the areas where you need players, and then you can then go on to sign these, shiny things. So Adebola Oluwaseun Funmi says, for me, I don't have any problem with Chelsea bringing in young players. I just want the club to sign 2 or 3 quality players, experienced players to help the team. Brilliant, Adebola. Brilliant, Adebola. Brilliant. That is what I am saying as well. Just take care of the main need that you have. The main need that you have. Chelsea has been crying out. Have been crying out for a striker for 3 years now. Been crying out for a striker. An experienced striker that is ready to go now. Not a striker you need to wait 2-3 more years for. So that's why I say Osimhen, Gyökeres, get them in the building. When you have those strikers in the building, you have your Mike Mignon or a top-level experienced goalkeeper in the building that's good, then you can go on to sign any 19-year-old you like that you feel has potential for the future. But you've gotten your experienced players in the building that can help you win. But when you decide to ignore getting an experienced ready-to-go striker in the building, you ignore to get a proper goalkeeper in the building, and then you keep on signing 18, 19-year-olds, then that's where the problem is. No. Jassim, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. Osimhen became money hungry. No, I will not accept that. One thing I've always said about salaries, player salaries is it's mad money from day one. It's always mad. Even if it's £50,000 a week, that's mad money. That's what some senior managers earn in a company for a year. So a player earning 50, 60 grand a week is mad money. Okay? Fairs. Let's go on. Then, when you see the likes of Harry Kane earning what he's earning, isn't it close to about £400,000 if I'm not mistaken? It's up there. Look at what Erling Haaland is earning, £27 million a year. Look at what Lewandowski is earning, 33 million euros a year. And he's 34, 35. No one makes an issue about it. No one makes an issue about it. But Victor Osimhen demanding the 10 million, demanding the 10 million, demanding the 10 million that he is currently earning from his Napoli wages, from Napoli's contract. That is crazy. That is what is going to kill football. That makes him greedy. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. The club has been successful in selling this mad PR out there that Victor Osimhen is greedy. If you want to say he's greedy, look at what his contemporaries earn. And then if his demand is so crazy compared to what they earn, then you can say, wow, he's greedy. And then let's not forget, the Saudi Pro League would always offer up crazy amounts of money. Today, if they want to sign me, maybe they offer me £5,000 a year. That'll be super mad for my footballing abilities. So that is it. Saudi Pro League clubs, the Saudi Pro League is trying to build its brand. It's trying to build its league. So any player they go for, they're going to offer crazy high money. That's the way they operate at this point in time. So whether it's Victor Osimhen or whether it is any other striker they go for, it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money. The Victor Osimhen deal, like I said, is not yet confirmed because you have reports saying, like I said, Buchilaba, I think is fairly accurate when it comes to Victor Osimhen deals. Victor Osimhen has gone to Nigeria for his vacation. Now, they're having reports that people are making that Al Hilal are upping the ante, they're offering more money, to get his services because they want to get him in time to register him for the World Club Cup on Tuesday. They want to register him on Tuesday, get him registered on Tuesday for the Club World Cup. So that's it. But the thing for me is people should stop saying he is greedy because that is what I just don't get. I don't get it. Footballer salary, mad money. Mad money. None of us here, except somebody here is like an oil magnet, I don't know, but none of us here earns that money a year. Maybe there's someone, I don't know, forgive me if there is. Maybe you earn £150,000 a year. That's crazy money. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of the market. That's the nature of the sport. Footballers earn a lot of money. What's my median update? Chelsea low balling too much. Yeah, that is where That's the problem. Okay, clearly capital designed to offer still going below 50 million pounds, whatever they're trying to achieve. I don't get it. Where they're trying to say, oh, we want to get as low as an offer as possible. Okay. But sometimes in life and in football and in sport, when you see a good deal, you take it. You don't go about hassling and negotiating. You take it. Let's say there's a wristwatch you want to buy, a Fitbit or something, it's usually £300. And then you go to a shop and they say, oh, there in the shop is £100. You don't go around trying to see if you can get it for 50. That's just how I see it. But some fans are of the opinion of, oh, let's negotiate a bit more. We have to squeeze out the last bit. Now, what if you miss out? Because you can do all this and some other club comes and snags him away. Now, people think Mike Mignon loves Chelsea so much, he just wants to go to Chelsea. Now, he may want to leave AC Milan, but he may not necessarily want to go to Chelsea. Now, Chelsea may be the offer on the table. Chelsea may be the offer on the table right now, and so his eyes will be turned to Chelsea. But it doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I love Chelsea. Oh, Chelsea is the only club I want to go to. Juventus could come up, stomp up some cash, and it's gone. And I talked about PSG willing to sell Donnarumma for about 40 million euros. Not quite sure. So let's just say they sell Donnarumma. They could come in, snap Mike Mignon, a French player, and boom, it's gone. You mock about, someone else will take your plate. So they keep going, want to negotiate, bring it down. I think that nickeling and diming way too much, in my opinion. So Sestro says Chelsea negotiating Mike Mignon like an African mom. yeah, that's true. Like, have you been to the market with your mom? If you ever grew up in Africa, been market with your mom or your sister, and you get somewhere and someone says, oh, this is 500 naira. And your mom says, can I get it for 40? And you're shocked, like you almost want to cover your face and run away. So that's what they're doing. Well, if that works, okay, let's see if it works. But Chelsea cannot decide not to get an accomplished goalkeeper this season. And the striker, well, people are saying Delap is the guy. He's got the number 9 jersey. So let's see. Hopefully it comes good. Like for me, I've always said this. Even if I don't rate a player, even if I think a player is not ready, when a player comes into the club, signs the undotted line, who puts on that shirt for the club, I'll root for the player 100%. But let's not make the mistake of thinking you won't have that ups and downs. And let's not even make that mistake of thinking that we haven't written off the season. If the transfer window opens and shuts with Liam Delap as Chelsea's only recognizable striker, that means the season has been written off. Simple. Just accept it. The season has been written off, but I am not accepting that, but that's what it is. So that what says, let's go up a bit and see. It says, so imagine Declan Rice or Foden going to Saudi. If he goes to Saudi, nobody will care how many goals he scores in Saudi. Yeah, that's true. That's true to some extent. But the thing is, the truth about Declan Rice and Foden and Victor Osimhen is a bit different. I'm not saying you should go to Saudi. That's not what I want. I want you to stay in Europe, achieve all you can achieve. But the truth is, Foden, Declan Rice will never be in a situation where they are forced to look at Saudi. It's never going to happen. People are willing to blame Pep Guardiola than blame Foden, except when you have maybe inter-fan rivalry, inter-fan debate on YouTube or other platforms. But the media would rather blame Pep Guardiola for Foden than blame Foden for Foden. The media will, like right now, the media is blaming Pep for Jack Grealish. They're blaming Pep. Oh, they stifled his creativity. They not allowing him play, not allowing him express himself. What Aston Villa, he was such a maverick, wonderful on the ball. So these narratives are so important. No one has said Grealish has character issues. No one has said Foden has character issues. But Osimhen, so that's what I'm saying. All these narratives are there. So for me, if it comes to going to Saudi, he should go there. I don't want him to go. I want him to be in Europe. I want him to be in Chelsea, if possible, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So I want him to go somewhere, whether it's PSG, even Galatasaray, remain there and win titles and show what you can do. We all know what he can do, but it's almost like the case around him. He has to prove himself every day more than other players. Well, so Adebola says we qualify for Champions League because Tottenham, Manchester United, and Newcastle decide to be rubbish next season will be different. Yeah, it's possible. It can be different. Can you imagine if Manchester United are able to get what's his face, Gyökeres in addition to Cunha? That would be mad. That would be really mad. And especially the way the Premier League, everyone wants to play that high pressing thing. Imagine Gyökeres on the counter attack. That would be mad. So, and it used to be like this Champions League thing was the reason. Oh, Chelsea not in Champions League, not in Champions League. When you get to Champions League, you see what we will do. We'll come up there, we'll stomp up the cash, we'll make sure we get the players in. Now Champions League, still the same strategy. Still the same strategy. Still going for your Bino Gittins, still going for your Liam Delap. It's still the same strategy. So do you want to tell me that if Chelsea didn't qualify for Champions League, the club wouldn't have £30 million to pay for Liam Delap? So it's still the same strategy. They keep pumping out PR and fans keep gobbling it up, which is just insane. Insane to me. And Newcastle, they are going to invest. Isak, for one, is not going there. They're going to invest in their team. So Delap is very raw. Jasmine says Delap is very raw, but I want him to produce to prove us wrong. Yeah, that's me. I pointed out that Delap is young, very raw, inexperienced, and hasn't played in a side that goes for the title, or at least a top side. And why is that important? Because when you play for a top side, the way you're defended against is a whole lot different from how you defended against when you're playing for a lowly ranked team. That's just the truth of the matter. So he has to come in and show that he can do all that. Prove me wrong, boy. Prove me wrong, Delap. Go ahead, prove me wrong. Make me eat crow. Make me be so wrong. But I'm not going to be wrong because you're going to see the ups and downs. You see the ups and downs. And I've said it. The fact that we're signing Delap, that means Egbali, Feliciano, Todd Bowley, all the clearly capital ownership on board, they have already embraced the fact that Chelsea are not going for the league this season. That is 2025 season. They've already embraced it that we're writing off the season again. So Chelsea fans, if you're there saying, "Whoa, Delap is the guy," yeah, Delap, get in there. Just know that's what you're signing up for this season. No league title. That's it. There's no plan for a league title this season. It may happen by mistake, but definitely not by design. So let's go on with the charts. Can you explain Chelsea loophole? It's confusing to me. Loophole? How? Which one? Which one? So I think the thing with the Chelsea thing is now. I think there was one about there was one about selling club assets to the club, so taking the women club and selling it to the club itself. That's kind of a loophole as well. And then there's one of amortization where you can, sign players for such a long contract. So that means you get to pay for the contract over a longer period of time than a shorter period. So that's the kind of loophole thing. And then Premier League clubs go crying, wow, 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 wow. I've never seen that sort of thing before. If someone is in the same business with you and is exploiting a loophole that you can also exploit, that there's nothing wrong with, that is very legal, why can't you do the same rather than go crying? But that's it. But then even with that, it's still signed very, very young players. And that makes me ask the question. So if you can do that, why not do the same for Gyökeres or Osimhen and pay over a longer period of time as well? It doesn't quite make sense to me. But so Benji R says, what do you think about Kepa signing for Arsenal? Kepa signing for Arsenal, for me, I don't really feel anything about him leaving Chelsea, because there was a time I wanted Kepa to stay, but right now that's water under the bridge, because he left Chelsea, went to Madrid, really wanted to stay there. Chelsea brought him back, sent him on loan to Bournemouth, and he played, was fairly okay there. But that's it. So for me, I think he's okay. He can go to Arsenal, and he's going to be a backup to Raya. That's just, I think for him personally, that's just sad, because I think going to be a backup to Raya, that means your career is kind of over in terms of even in international football. It's kind of over, because if you're Raya's backup, that automatically means that in the Spanish national team, Raya is ahead of you, because you don't have any opportunity to show what you can do. So that means his career is about kind of done. It's kind of done. No, I don't know what that comment means, Yasin. Maybe you explain it again. I don't know what it means. And then, so for me, Kepa, yeah, so he's going to Arsenal, £5 million. At least that takes large wages off the of the wage bill. And I don't really care so much about it, because at some point I used to care about that wage bill thing, because I had the feeling of, if you clear out as those high wages off the wage bill, then that can allow you to bring in some more experienced players. But it's almost like taking off those high earners from the wage bill just opens up more room to start stockpiling with a lot more, very young and inexperienced players. So so that's it. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's just the way he has been the way the situation has been managed just means Chelsea can get value for him. Just have already shown that we don't value you. And you can't blame Arsenal, because that's what Chelsea chose to put there as his buyout clause, £5 million. The way they treated him, it just shows we don't want you anymore, and everyone knows Chelsea doesn't want Kepa anymore. They didn't give him any chance to come back to the team and prove himself or anything like that. They just let him go to Bournemouth, stay on loan. Let me get how. Well, so the thing is, for me, I think Gyökeres is a good player. I think Gyökeres should, if he comes to Chelsea, that would be a good signing, but I don't see that happening, because I just think this ownership, especially the sporting directors, just have their heads stuck in sand. You know, people always, so people always want to make fun of players for whatever reason. For me, I don't find it particularly funny. So that's that with that. So Bej R says Arsenal are signing every Chelsea field. That's sad. Yeah, that's kind of sad. They signed Willian, they signed Jorginho. Um, I think Jorginho would have been good for Chelsea, but they still signed him because Pochettino didn't want him, and they went on to sign who else? Now, if they go on to actually sign Kepa, they always want to sign players that Chelsea really don't need, or Chelsea want to dispose of. So, and they signed Czech as well. I think Czech did fairly well for them, given that they're Arsenal. So I just wonder where Kepa. I just feel sad for Kepa, because Kepa used to be that sort of player. He used to be highly rated, but that's where his career has gone. So, and then he's going to be a backup. That's just it. Just jobs on rumors. So anyone even looking for Gyökeres. I think what's going to happen with Gyökeres, because let's understand that this is just a short window open for the FIFA World Club Cup, and then it will be shut soon. So I think Gyökeres will be one of those deals that could happen, while the Club World Cup is going on, or it could even happen towards the end of the window. But I don't even get to why it should take that long. For me, I think get your Koresh in the building. If you want a striker, this clause about 60 or so million euros, it's 65 million euros, something like that. Why are you not going for him? I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. But meanwhile, Chelsea are valuing, Hugo Ekitike at 60 something more than Gyökeres. Doesn't make sense to me. But apparently that's the style they choose to go with. Hugo Ekitike, if they're going to sign him. But all the same, if you sign Ekitike, he's inexperienced and he's not the right profile for me. He's a nice player to have as an addition to an actual ready-to-go now striker. So if you're signing him now, for me, it's not quite what you want. It's not quite what you should be getting because you need to get someone with experience. Gyökeres, for me, Gyökeres and Victor Osimhen are the only two strikers right now that you can get right now, plug in, ready to go in your team, and they make your team a whole lot better, exponentially better. But they're doing it for 70 plus, but not Gyökeres. What a joke. Exactly. That's the point I'm making. You say you have this structure, you say you don't want to spend that much money in transfer window, but you go and you sign an unproven player for 70 million. And you talk about upside. People say, oh, it's resale value. That's another briefing they've thrown into the, football ecosystem. Upside, this player doesn't have resale value. If you're a big team and you want to be a big team, you don't sign players based on the fact that you can sell them off. You sign players based on the fact that they can help you win now. And if by helping you win now, they raise their value so high that a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a Bayern would come in to say, this player, Gyökeres, you signed him at 26, he's now 28, we want to pay 200 million pounds for him, then fine. But you don't go and sign a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old for 70 million because you think, oh, he has some resale value. What is the guarantee that he will come good when he hasn't shown you enough body of work to say, yeah, this guy is pretty good? So I don't get it. So I'll run through what we've talked about from the beginning of the video and let me know what you think. Apparently, Liverpool, these are reports that Liverpool have upped their offer to 114 million pounds for Florian Wirtz. And there's also reports that his wages will be about 340,000 pounds. What do you think about this, Liverpool fans, if you're here, if this is true? And then Arsenal being linked to Kepa, looking like they're willing to pay his £5 million, release clause from Chelsea. What do you think about that, Arsenal fans? Are you happy with such a deal? Though it's coming to be a backup, so that's not too crazy. What are your thoughts on it? Chelsea fans, are you feeling any type of way about it? You feeling sad, happy, are you ecstatic that he's leaving? Finally have that wage bill off the books. Is that what you're looking at? Are you happy about it? For me, I'm indifferent. He's gone. Goodbye. And let's move on. And then the Victor Osimhen thing, probably Al Hilal they're not going anywhere. They just keep coming with more offers, upping their offers each time because they want to get him in. What are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on Chelsea not going for an experienced striker? Are you okay? Are you comfortable with Delap being the only striking addition? So are you okay going into the season with Liam Delap and Nicholas Jackson as the two strikers? And apparently there's some reports that McGee may be loaned out. So if McGee is loaned out, are you happy with Liam Delap and Nicholas Jackson as the striker? Are you happy with that as the two strikers available in the team? For me, not so much, because there are still two raw players that are not going to really help each other. They may train together, but what will Jackson learn from Delap or Delap learn from Jackson? Quite difficult to understand. That's why you'd have gone for an experienced striker who not only will start ahead of a Jackson or ahead of a Delap, but can also have something to teach Delap, and give Delap enough time to mature and grow into the role of being that number one guy. So what are your thoughts on the whole Victor Osimhen thing? for me, let's see how it shakes down. And then the Mike Minion thing is still they're still lowballing, still lowballing AC Milan with their offers, in my opinion. And then there are some reports as well that Chelsea offered Petrovic, player swap and maybe some cash for Mike Minion, and AC Milan have refused that offer. So for me, that means Petrovic, because once they offer you to swap you and another player for money, then I think maybe you begin to consider your days at that club. So I think maybe Petrovic could now be considering his time, at Chelsea. So what are your thoughts on the whole Mike Minion thing? Are you happy with the low offer? Does that seem like good business practice to you? Or you think get the business done and get Mike Minion in the building, not only in time for the Club World Cup, but overall going into the season as a whole? So Beji asks, the thing is Raya is one of the best goalkeepers in the Prem. So as long as Raya will not be injured, Kepa will not play. Yeah, fair play. That's true. So Arsenal wouldn't feel it too much because he's going to be, Kepa will just go there, be on the bench, maybe play the odd up cup game against maybe a League One side or a League Two side or a lowly ranked championship side, if even that. And then Raya is the number one. So, and then you have someone who has at least some level of Premier League experience and some European experience as well. Don't forget, he won Europa League with Chelsea. So that can be something good for Arsenal. And then you have your main goalkeeper, Raya. So Beji, that's a fair point to make. But Beji said, but Arsenal have to sign a striker. 100% they have to. They talk about Sesko, it's not going away, but still we're not seeing anything yet concrete. So let's see how that shakes down. And for me, the same thing I've said about Delap, the same thing I've said about Jackson or any of these young players is still a gamble. Now, he scored 14 goals at RB Leipzig. He's still young, 2021, so he's still very raw. High ceiling, but still raw. Is he ready to come into the Premier League and score 20 odd goals? Can he go toe to toe with Erling Haaland? Erling Haaland in a bad year can give you 30 goals. In a bad year where he's struggling poorly, he can give you 30 goals in all competitions. That's what you're competing against when you sign the striker. That's what you're competing against. A striker that you wake up, you're still groggy, you score 25 goals. Is Sesko that guy? Now the jury is still out on that one. It's left to be seen. I don't think he is that guy yet. So he may become that guy at some point, but right now, I don't think that's what Arsenal needs that much. And when you look at Arsenal, do they really flash crosses into the box? Now they have their set piece routine, dark arts, and all that business, but do they really put crosses in the box that much? Maybe that's why they want to sign Sesko. He's 6'5", he's a giant anyway, so he put the cross in the box, he's going to definitely head them. But the other question is, when you're such a young player, can you take the bashing? Can you take the hits? Which always comes. I tell people this and they pull away. I say, listen, when you come in to play for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, people know you come to play, sexy football, play passes, silky football. That's when you want to play. Now teams may know we can't match you with that, but they'll ask you the question, we are going to play you tougher. We're going to come with hard hits. Can you take it? That's it. That's a question that needs to be answered. Arsenal fans, that's for you to answer. For me, I've said it. Liam Delap, he looks like he's built for that sort of football, but he's still raw. Still raw, inexperienced, and hasn't played at the top level. Now, those are things that people don't want to hear, but that is just the truth. So let's see how that shakes out in the end. So Florian Wirtz possibly could be going to Liverpool. That's a good deal for them. I think he can bring some magic in there. But the one question I have to ask about this Liverpool Florian Wirtz thing is this. Florian Wirtz likes to combine with the striker ahead of him. So Liverpool, who is that striker? Salah scores tons of goals, but he is essentially a goal-scoring winger, comes in from the right, cuts into his left. Yakpo kind of plays out wide. Is he going to be the guy that plays in that central position? Or who knows, Liverpool could go out and get a Gyökeres and shock everybody. Or get Victor Osimhen and shock everyone. And then people will start crying at their clubs. Why didn't you sign Victor Osimhen? Why didn't you sign Gyökeres? Now the players are available. Clubs are dancing and twiddling their thumbs. Well, that's it. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, share this video to people you feel will love content like this, and hopefully more content will be coming your way. And I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well and stay blessed.